Hello and welcome. I'm Aidory Gregan, and today I'm here for an exclusive interview with the cast and crew of Moxie Monroe, Private Eye, a new fantasy noir audio drama podcast. Today I am joined by Austin Sprake, producer, director, and writer of the show. We've got Xander Rude, who is also a producer and writer. We've got Louis Fergoso, a also producer and writer. And we've got the voice actor for Moxie herself, Cleo Birch, and also assistant producer. How's everyone doing today?
Doing quite all right. Happy to be
Glad,
here.
glad to be here.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us on.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. So I wanted just to kick things off by asking you, Austin, since you're pretty much the main man behind this whole thing. Uh, I wanted to actually ask you how you would best describe the show yourself, because I can always give my own definition of it, but I always love hearing how the creator themselves how they picture the work that they've created.
Yeah, sure. So, Moxie Monroe Private Eye is our audio drama podcast. It's designed and structured like an old 50s detective radio show, is what we took inspiration for, but of course, released in the modern age. So, as a podcast rather than a direct to radio drama. So our show it features a female private eye by the name of Moxie Monroe, and it's a film noir. It's very film noir-esque, having a private eye as the main character, solving mysteries in an episodic radio drama, or in this case, podcast series. But what kind of makes our show a little bit different is that we take heavy fantasy genre inspiration for this. Dungeon Dragons writing, which all of us have been associated with in our main parts of our lives, was a big inspiration for this. So while Dungeon Dragons itself isn't like this isn't directly related to Dungeon Dragons. Our show mixes the film noir mystery genre with fantasy. So we have our main character. She doesn't have magic herself, but she's solving mysteries in a world that has monsters and magic within it.
I think the thing that gripped me immediately as soon as I watched it was the fact that it is a fantasy world, but it's not like a fantasy world without rules. I noticed right off the top of the bat, as soon as I started watching it, that it was a fantasy world that you had a clear vision for, and that there are things that it's not just a everything goes, if that makes sense. Open magic system, I believe it's called. Uh, One of the things that I really enjoyed was the two main notes were that healing magic is not something that you see all the time. Moxie herself, when she was being healed, she was like, "This doesn't seem normal. Like it wasn't a regular occurrence." And the other big thing was that goblins can't use magic. So these little details that a lot of people often overlook, and when you're creating a magic system, it really helps invest the audience when you say that yes, these things are okay, these things are not okay, and it teaches them to expect that there will be rules moving forward. So I'm curious, and this question for Xander, are there any particular inspirations you would say that kind of that inspired this, basically? This more not necessarily segmented, but slightly less free flowing uh vision of fantasy.
So, are you talking more about the style of it, or more so the structure of this specific episode?
Just the style of the overall world.
Oh, okay. Now that's a good question. So, Austin and I, we've known each other for a few years now, through D&D and role-playing games is how we met originally. That's a shared interest we have. More recently I started running a game in a world very similar to Moxie, where it has sort of this post-war industry, but also retains magic monsters and the fantasy creatures that we all know and love. And I've always loved that fusion between the two. The sort of the beginning of the if you took fantasy and it entered the early modern era. And Austin knows that's something that I really enjoy as well. And I feel like that's probably why you approached me on it. Where it's like, what if we did a show written in this sort of style? I couldn't say yes quick enough. It's
Yeah, for you, Eberron, the Eberron D&D setting for you is a big
mhm.
inspiration for how we've kind of set up the world. For me, it's always been kind of modeling our version of Moxie's world in a 1950s style fantasy world. So I kind of see the whole world as very black, literally black and white. And like there are monsters, ogres driving around in cars, gangsters are using submachine guns. But for you and Lewis, I know you guys been working on more the fantasy side of it, taking direct inspiration from your own love of Pulp Fiction as well as the Eberron setting.
it naturally lends itself well to this vision of noir intrigue, dark, grimy alleyways, and the a detective that lives in the bowels of a giant metropolitan fantasy city.
Yeah, and the atmosphere is definitely there. Like from the first moment all the way until the end, like it is gripping. And I think one of the things that really helps that atmosphere just build it out is uh, something that I always appreciate in shows that I watch and just in general media that I consume, which is framing. I think framing is very important, and I think definitely with a lot of other projects I've seen from Xander, he very much enjoys playing around with the framing of how can I present the events that are happening in a more interesting way. Like with Moxie Monroe, it's obviously not just from A to B. You kind of go back in time, forward in time. There's the narration that's from a different time itself. So it is a detective show, and in a way, the audience also gets to play that role of the detective, sort of piecing together the story in a sense. So Xander, I just wanted to ask you about that. What were your personal inspirations for why you enjoy playing around with framing so much, and kind of yeah, how that came to be?
I can't take all the credit on this one. The original, I think when Austin approached me, I think I think he pretty much had the whole outline for episode one already thought through from the beginning, and that's that idea of the cold open. It's a classic of the noir genre, and the ones specifically the ones that we've listened to together. I'm gonna have to redirect this one to Austin. I think he can answer this better.
For me, I've always enjoyed writing within the mystery genre, and a bunch of short films and other work that I've made in college and beyond college, actually some of it with Lewis, who I've brought on as a writer. Um, I've enjoyed making mysteries where the audience is kind of the detective. Like often we'll have some kind of detective or an amateur detective take on the role of the protagonist, kind of try to bring the audience through the mystery and solve it. But I really do enjoy stories where the audience gets put full frontal into being the detective. In college, I made a couple short films which I enjoyed where we don't reveal who the killer is at the end of the film, leaving it for the
Hmm.
audience to study the project and kind of deduce themselves and have a conversation about who they think did it and why. We're not doing that with our show. Moxie is there from the beginning to the end, and she solves it by the end of the case, or at least most times. But for me, I enjoy playing around with structure because that's what really makes a mysteries interesting. Because I don't really enjoy going from A to Z. A mystery is interesting when you kind of bounce around a little bit. And we do that a little bit with our show. The first episode, we start with a cold open that takes place a little bit in the future. And then we kind of rewind time a little bit as we allow Moxie to kind of catches up as Moxie, the character, is figuring things out for the first time as she loses her memory and she's trying to put everything together for the first time, kind of like the audience in our pilot episode. And in future episodes, we'll be playing around with structure also a little bit. So the audience is there with Moxie, a little bit confused at the beginning, but hopefully we'll solve it with her or maybe before her by the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's nothing there's no better feeling than watching a mystery and feel like you're putting the pieces together right alongside the protagonist. It's incredibly
True.
investing. And I mean, as the audience member, it's incredibly fun playing it. But I imagine for Cleo actually playing the role herself, it's a whole nother level. So, how has your experience been playing Moxie Monroe?
It's been absolutely amazing. I remember when they first sent me the script, I was reading it on the train on the way into work, and okay, I guess minor spoilers. Go listen to the episode if you haven't already listened to it, because we're going to talk about it, and there's going to be a little bit of spoilers. When I was reading through it, there was a mention of a golden bullet, and I sat on the train and I circled it. I went, suspicious. And then, like, 2 pages down, Moxie puts together, oh, why did you know that the gun had a, like, why was it a waste of golden bullet? Da, 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 da. So it's absolutely delightful playing such a smart, savvy, badass character. Because you just, like, you always just want to embody that in life, and to be able to embody it in such a physical way with a character like this is just an absolute dream. It's been delightful, and working with these guys has been awesome. There's a lot of thought and care put into Moxie, which is amazing to see. And then I also get to play a hand in, like, taking care of her and portraying her the way that we all want to see it. And I think we all really aligned on aspects of that, on all the aspects of her. So yeah, it's been delightful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you were you playing a part sort of in the building of like her dialogue and her character, or have you kind of just been filling in the shoes that they gave you, or has it
I've
been a little bit of like back and forth?
It's been a bit of both. Like, they did such a great job creating her, and I, like, truly, she was fully baked by the time I came in, and, like, I was able to pick up exactly what they were putting down. There was some, like, there was a few line tweaks of, like, oh, this could be cool, but yeah, no, things, the vision aligned so clearly that if it hadn't been the way she, if she didn't exist the way she was, had I influenced her, she would have ended up in the exact same spot. So it was really cool. That doesn't often happen. You know, you always have a bit of an opinion with a character. To have it align so directly is really, it was unique and special.
It certainly is, yeah, and she definitely comes to life. There's no doubt that the passion of that of when we're on to like creating her and also just voicing her really shines through. She's an interesting character because she's not like your, she's not your usual protagonist. She's not this. She's not. She wasn't created to cater to people or to be like relatable or anything. She's got a whole lot of different points that if you're listening to her dialogue, like you can take bits and pieces of her very unique personality. I mean, when she's first meeting Marquis Fourfingers, she just makes this comment after describing him, ugly, and she just tacks it on the end. I just remember thinking, that was uncalled for. What in the world, Moxie? Okay. So we got a bit of a springy protagonist here. It's awesome. And I really like those kinds of ideas because it's a boldness that a lot of people don't really appreciate. It's incredibly tempting to want to make your protagonist relatable and just easy for people to like, but to really give them a personality, if you do it well, it just really shines through. And I think your voicing in that, Cleo, just really elevates that to a different level.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
The thing that I think I really latched onto, though, looking at it from sort of a meta perspective of Moxie Monroe, is the greatest mystery of this detective show is the detective herself, because she does have her amnesia, and yet she's also in a place that apparently she's been before. Like she's found her old office, what we assume to be. So there's these like different levels. It's not just she has amnesia for the sake of exploring this new world and just telling us. Like she's getting these little bits and pieces kind of like fed into her, and she's trying to put the pieces together of her own life just as much as the mysteries that unfold around her. So actually, I wanted to ask Lewis this question. As you all were making it, would you say there was a whole lot of like back and forth of like trying to figure out how you would actually present these things and like how you would layer these different mysteries, like the mystery of Moxie Monroe, the mystery of every single episode, and kind of what you would focus when and where? Would you say that you were all pretty united putting them together? Or were there differing like visions that
Oh,
kind of had to
we
be sorted out?
yeah, we definitely went a lot of different ways. I think the major thing that we talked about, because if you've listened to Moxie Monroe, you kind of are brought into it at different points in time, and you as the audience member are kind of listening to Moxie pick up the clues that she's ultimately going to use to solve the mystery or crack the case. And so a lot of what we were doing is like, oh man, where would it make sense for this clue to be found? Because it has to make sense at this later point in the story. Like everything has to be connected, but they're connected at different points in time, if that makes sense. So a lot of it was trying to make sure that everything timing wise lined up with her adventure and the way that she essentially absorbs the information.
Yeah, one quote that stands out for mysteries is the best way to build a mystery is to give your audience all the right pieces in the wrong order.
Mhm.
That's
So
That's a
exactly
good
what we
timing
did.
really is everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so like for a little context for the audience, are these episodes that we're releasing monthly, they're very episodic, so people can kind of listen to them in whatever order they want, each episode being a different mystery that Moxie finds herself in. But there is an overall arc for the character. While every episode has a different mystery, Moxie's stuck on her main one, which is who am I? Who was I before I fell into the muck? And why did I lose my memory? And like what Lewis said, that is something that we have to talk about every single episode. We're not just plugging in the clues for the mystery of the week. We're also plugging in evidence that hopefully Moxie will be able to use at the end to piece together who she is.
Yeah, so together we have in the episode you have the clues of the central mystery that's being solved, but then we're also putting little pieces of information about Moxie that are more like an overall, let's say like an overall mystery.
Yeah, and since you're already like planning ahead for multiple seasons, I imagine it's quite a challenge to like figure out what you should put and how much you should do, how much rope you should give the audience and when you should give it out. Because you really have to like be careful with how much you give with how much you give them and how often you give it to them, right?
I'd say
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's actually it's not horribly hard. What we've been doing is we focus on the main mystery first, and then we kind of plug a clue or two per episode, and we're just kind of increasing the level of knowledge Moxie has per episode until it's going to get to a point where she can put everything together.
When it comes to like the larger mystery, as somebody who I very much like to be played along with these things. Like I wouldn't consider myself a sleuth. I don't pull out a pen like Cleo and starts making notes of things that are interesting for me. I probably should, but I really like being blindsided from my first listen. So I just kind of listen, play along with it, and get pulled along by the winds. And so when at the very end, it seemed like the mystery was solved, and then she calls out Marquis Four Fingers, and it turns out that he seems to be, at least for the moment, the larger antagonist of the show. Like that completely caught me for loop, and I thought that was really interesting. That the first character we meet, aside from our main character, is effectively and for the time being our main antagonist. I thought that was a really cool framing device, and also a promise to the audience that this isn't going to come out of nowhere, and we do have these pieces that we're setting up.
Yeah, for sure. And Moxie at the first episode, like if this was a D&D campaign, she is a level one adventurer at the beginning. So, with that reveal that you talked about with Morky Four Fingers, we like the idea of having a charismatic kind of bad guy who's being set up as a larger antagonistic force through season one. And in the first episode, he's kind of set up to be kind of like the buddy cop sidekick to Moxie. But she's not gonna be able to get him at the end of episode one, but that's okay. She's gonna be leveling up, and maybe she'll get him later on.
Yeah, yeah. And he gives this feeling like he's not some crazy mob boss or something, but he's like almost part of a whole system. Like the idea of those buddy cops and when you start seeing corruption in the system, it's like you can't just take it down, right? There are some things you can't
Mhm.
just solve through brute force. So you got to be a little more clever with it. I mean, just her calling him out, now she has to pay for her own drinks and so little consequences that like you got to be a little more delicate with these matters. And I
Yeah,
think
for
that's
sure.
really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing her journey and how that develops, how she kind of learn and redevelops her sense of being a detective, I suppose.
Well, let's just say this, Aidory. We are hoping to do a lot of really fun stuff with Morky later on down the line.
That's awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah,
So,
with this, kind of going back to the idea of like we take inspiration from writing our own D&D campaigns or characters within it. Morky Four Fingers, most episodes will have a character that we would have seen or heard from before, or we'll be plugging in later on. Kind of like this show being kind of like us, the creators, are a DM that we take our favorite NPCs, especially ones that the audience enjoys having around, our players, and we will kind of bring them back later on.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the D&D campaigns because one thing that I was really curious about as I was watching this and I was looking at the small team that went into it is, as a fellow creator, I think we can all agree that we end up putting a lot of ourselves into the stories we create. Not just experiences, but just our personalities and things that we enjoy. So obviously D&D is the big one I think that a lot of people here share. Um, but I kind of want to just ask everyone here, how much of yourself would you say you put into this, and where do you think it shines the most of like
Hmm,
putting your own personality into this and putting yourself into this work?
for
I think
sure.
there would definitely be getting a different answer from each of us on how you would answer that.
Yeah, well, I think that's a super good question. Let's go around the circle and see what we put each of us have put into our show.
Yeah, let's start with
Um,
Lewis then.
let's do it.
All right, perfect. My answer is going to be very different from everyone else's. I can guarantee you that. I think if there's anything that in my time of knowing both Xander and Austin, particularly Austin, I've known Austin since we were in college, like 2015, and I've played a lot of D&D and done a lot of film and things with him. If there's anything that anyone really knows about me, it's that I don't write for heroes. I definitely write for villains. That's kind of what I come for, and it's kind of where my interests lie. So when Austin, and he's told me about this project for a while before we started it up. When he asked me to come on, and we were kind of talking about villains, and we had this idea of Morky, I like instantly fell in love with him, Morky, and so I really was able to apply my sort of love of the villain, of a good villain, not just for the sake of evil itself, but someone that has layers and a good villain. I think you can kind of get behind, and we kind of show that with Morky as portraying him like that buddy cop at the beginning. He's a little bit more relatable. Come to find, he's well. If you watch, if you listen, then you know. But I really love a good villain, and I like a good mystery. And so I think that's where my particular talents have been able to sort of shine with the writing. And obviously, everyone else that is here, it brings it all together. You got to have the good guy with the bad guy. Layers. I'm just happy that what I have been able to bring to the story has worked so well with what everyone else has brought to the story.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's my personal belief that even more than the hero, the villain of the story is the most important part to like bring it all together. Like especially with this one that you have a villain that like or an antagonist that you can relate to and that you've kind of built the first episode getting to know. There's this bit of regret that's like, oh really? He's the villain? That sucks. I liked him though. And you already start to get that, kind of push and pull from the audience of like, oh, we need to defeat him, but I kind of really like him. So and I'm curious, Cleo, before I ask you about the previous question,
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, do you feel that like as you're voicing Moxie and like interact you're effectively interacting with that villain?
Yeah, it was really fun. Austin got Drew and I together. Drew voices Morky. Absolutely phenomenal voice actor, creator, all of the above.
Hmm.
Sorry. And it was so fun to just act opposite each other. I'm very used to talking to myself alone in a booth. So having like the camaraderie there, and we really for the Morky and Moxie scenes, we were like, we're besties. We're going. We're doing that. We knew what was gonna happen, but like just full sending like you know, you're in a strange place, you have no memory. This person was nice, and now they're my best friend was a really fun way to do it. And so having that, like, the flip at the end, um, it was great. I mean, there is a little bit of a loss to it of like, there goes my best friend Morky, but it especially as Moxie, she's got such a steel and such a stubbornness to her that okay, you've lost a best friend, but now like a dog with a bone, I have a goal. I'm gonna take this person down. And so it's this like next new game. Like you've lost an ally, but you've got a new challenge, and that challenge is gonna be really fun. So it's a bit of a
Mm.
bittersweet thing, but mostly I think sweet.
Yeah, yeah. You guys weren't were you actually recording together or were you recording privately,
Uh,
independently?
yeah, independently geographically, but we were all on a call
Mhm.
together and acting opposite each other.
Oh, awesome. So there was that like
Yeah.
natural back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah, I think little things like that really do shine through, especially with like building out their chemistry. So that's
Yeah.
really great. Yeah, and
Very, very fun.
would you say there was anything else like when it comes to you putting yourself into this project? Anything like looking at the
Yeah.
project you see that like mirrors you in any way? Other
I'd
than
like
the
to
voice,
say.
obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to say I'd like to say I see myself in Moxie. Like um one, she's just such a cool character and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's totally like me." But also just she's got a bit of a lack of a filter. Sometimes the things that she says is like off the cuff or uncalled for, but is all part of her like inner monologue of trying to understand and document the world. And so that did resonate with me of kind of having this little compendium of observations and how to go forward with this type of person and this and that. And I really also just love being able to emulate like her sassiness and her directness. Because it doesn't always have a place in proper polite society. So it's really kind of fun to like just have that directness and that kind of brashness in this fictional setting where it won't like where it fits the setting and it fits the character and it won't offend anyone because it's not mean spirited when she does it, she's just that way. So it's kind of nice to be able to step into that. And yeah, she's just a cool gal, and I like to say I'm that.
Going back to D&D, I've always been a DM, the person running the game of Dungeons and Dragons or other fantasy, non-fantasy uh, TTRPGs.
That's
So
a
kind of
dungeon master, right?
yeah, as a dungeon
DM?
master. Yep,
Yeah.
DM for dungeon master, sometimes depending on other games, GM for game master.
Mhm.
So the closest thing in how I relate, because I don't relate to any of the characters in this, is that I'm the director of the show, and when I play Dungeons and Dragons, I'm the DM. So I've kind of taken my love of being a DM and setting up a fantasy world into this show as a director. Outside of that, I would say that when I write or I create something, I like to create things that I, as an audience member, would love to see that does not exist at this
Oh
point.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Without me creating it, it does not exist. The show Moxie Monroe would not exist without me putting together this team. And I can't do it alone, so that's why I was able to bring in Lewis and Xander, who I both know from not only playing games of Dungeons and Dragons with, but I know that they are writers. Lewis and I were both screenwriters in college. Xander I knew as a playwright. I knew them both as good writers, but also helps that they have a fantasy background for this. So definitely this is kind of a case where maybe I don't relate necessarily to the characters because I'm not playing them, but I relate most to the idea that I love the idea of this show and the concept of it, so I wanted nothing more than to bring this to life.
Yeah, yeah. So for you, it's really just kind of being the change you want to see. It's wanting to see something
Yeah.
like actualized and being like, I'm going to be the person who does it.
Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes some creatives, every creative is different, but some creatives create because they think an audience member might like this product. They
Hmm.
create within this genre because it's popular. I create only on the fact that I want to see this and it's not going to come to life unless I put it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely relate to that. I mean, just yesterday I posted my like channel trailer for my own channel, and as I
Hmm.
was talking through it with myself, like I realized the biggest reason why I did what I do, my live analyses as I watch anime, is uh, that analytical mind isn't really present in a lot of that sphere. So I want to see more of that. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be that myself, and I'll just create that. And
Yeah,
immediately, though my audience is small, I see there's a handful of dedicated fans who are already like watching every video I make because they clearly wanted to see it too. So there's a lot of overlap with like, oh, I want to see it. Oh, probably other people do.
that's the thing. As long as if you want to see this come to life more than anyone else in the world, put it together, and very likely there's gonna be other people that dig it too. You're not if you're gonna be putting your full heart and soul into a creative project, there's no way that you're gonna be the only one in the world that digs it. Other people will dig it too.
Exactly. Yeah. On a smaller scale, one of my favorite questions that teachers ask whenever they ask the classroom if they have any questions, one of my favorite things to add on to that is whatever questions you have, there's no such thing as a dumb question because whatever question you have, I guarantee you there are at least several other people in this room who have the exact same question or are too scared to ask for it. And it's that same kind of thing, right? You'd be surprised how many
Exactly.
more people agree with you and want to see this thing. So just create it.
For sure.
And finally, for Xander,
Oh
how would you
boy.
say you reflect yourself in the project?
I've been looking forward to this. So for Lewis, it's he relates to the villains. For Austin, he's like he loves the creative side, the being the director in a way of the D&D campaign, which definitely shows some great action scenes. I also come from a background of game mastering, and for me, my unique angle on it is I'm an instigator. I like to start things. And for me as the game master, the story that I love to see is a hero that triumphs over adversity. And like that's part a huge part of me that I've brought into the episodes I've worked on with Moxie is I put her through a ringer a lot. I put Moxie through so much
Yeah.
because it just feels so worth it at the end when she makes it through to the other side and climbs back up onto the horse. That's the part that appeals to me.
Yeah, creating hardship for the sake of overcoming it, right?
Hmm.
It's great. Because without hardship, like life is just flat, right? You never truly grow, you never truly experience. So it's in those hardships that you really come to define yourself.
Exactly. And in that sort of game, it's fun too because you get to watch your collaborators work, overcome those adversities and see that your friends become the heroes you want to see in your world. That's very special and rewarding as a game master in my opinion.
Okay, little technical difficulties. Looks like Austin had to leave a little bit early. So I just wanted to pose one last question to you. One thing I noticed when I was looking around online and I was looking at what kind of built up into this project was there was a strong emphasis on this being a human-backed project without the use of AI at all. So I kind of wanted to ask you all what your opinions are on that and your idea of what value this has to provide that is the value of it being explicitly human-made.
Nowadays, like AI has become a wave, and I think it's so absolutely important to have creative projects, emotional projects, thoughtful projects. Anything of value needs to be human made, needs to have human thought behind it, human emotion, human interaction. That is why we have the stories that we are able to tell, and that's how we tell them in a meaningful and effective and beautiful way. So, especially like when I signed on to do this project, like AI was one of the first questions. Like, is it going to be used? Is it like, because if it is, I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, frankly. Especially like specifically voice acting and narration has been, I mean, a lot of industries have been under attack because of AI, but specifically
Yeah.
they're trying to push out AI narrated slop and trash, and I hate it. So it was really nice in talking to these guys, them having, I'm not painting them with the same brush, they might feel like a slightly different way about it, but for this project specifically, acknowledging that it is human creators, human voices, all the way, 1,000%. No AI art, no AI voices, no AI anything. Because again, I think that's just to make stories meaningful, to create something for each other as humans. It has to be just that, as humans. So that is my stance on it, and I'm really glad that for this project specifically, everyone is in line with those values. It means a lot.
Thank you all for the time. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you just creating this work and allowing me to experience and be a part of it. It's really something interesting. I really look forward to seeing where it's going next. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
for me,
Thank you for having us.
there is
It-
one last thing I think Austin wanted us to just touch on. Like we could do it quickly. To further the show, we have a couple of avenues to help out with that. Our Patreon being, I think, one of like the prime focus of ours. We have. Xander, do you know more about this?
I don't have more details on it,
All
but
right.
other than to say that we will have a link under this video if you want to visit our Patreon. Please support us if you love what we do and you want to see more. We our programs are made possible by people who find our show and love it. And we want this show to continue to grow and find the people that will love it. So
Yeah.
if you want to give to our Patreon, please do. Link below, and we will be pleased to announce more upcoming adventures for Moxie Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
We've got some different tiers with the Patreon. We've kind of got the they have fun names. Oh God.
Oh,
But the
yes.
more entry level. I'm just gonna bring up the doc. Hold on, cut this out real quick. Sorry.
Yes.
Where did he send it?
There's a bunch. They're fun. There's the gumshoe tier. There is the Diamond Eye Detective Agency is a tier. Fun little in joke for episode 2.
One of the possibilities is like an actual let's play of like cast and crew playing a TTRPG together as well, possibly in universe. I think is my understanding of it. So I'm very excited for that. And if anyone wants to hear and check that out, that will be on the Patreon as well.
That does sound like fun.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just to build off on that last question. I mean, this is not AI, and AI is, especially at the moment right now, it's very much used as a shortcut to kind of cut corners. So a project that doesn't rely on that, it has a lot of, human costs, a lot of things that you need to put together for it. It's a lot more effort and a lot more. So if you want to be a part of that, then yeah, absolutely. Supporting Patreon is the best way to do it. All right. So go ahead and check that out in the description if you're done. If no one has any final thoughts they want to bring out real quick before we close it out.
No,
All
that
right.
covers it all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all so
for
much
all
for your
this.
time.
Thank
Absolutely.
All right.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
All right.
Yeah, my pleasure. Y'all have a great one.